If you're not closing AI deals, this video is for you. Here's the thing. 84% of AI projects fails before it even starts. And it's not me making stuff up. It's a research. And here's what nobody's telling you about. Most people are not using this approach when they start selling or pitching their clients. They want to have a perfect pitch from the first time. And this is nonsense. Because I've applied this rule and it gave me ridiculous results from day one. First, you need to set your assumptions, which is about why you are doing this or why you are building this solution. What is the expected value that you're going to give them? And then you can move on to technicalities or the technical know-how of implementing this solution, like what we do and how we do it, like the know-how, which automation tool, or all the rest of these technical questions. And then what is the expected results? What's the outcome they are going to give? Start loop here. Most of people are repeating this loop over and over again. And this is only single loop learning, and it doesn't lead to anything because you need to take the full cycle. And I'll give you a perfect analogy so you can imagine how to do this. Everyone loves to start to talk about the AI agent or the AI integration that they are going to offer before talking about the outcome that they are going to provide or the end results that the business owner should expect from them. And this is the biggest problem because you're not speaking their language. They don't know about AI, they don't care. So you need to change your language. And every time to talk to them, you start with assumptions, then move to technicalities, which is correct. And the biggest mistake is that you are just focused on this part, the techniques, the knowledge that you have in this industry. You skip the first and the second one. And I think the correct approach is to use the double loop learning when you start your pitch. So you start with the assumptions, then the techniques, then the expected results. And this is the most important part for them. What's the results? What's the expected outcome? So they can imagine how much they are going to save, or you can say explicitly, I guarantee you this number or this cut time, whatever the expectations is. Just be mindful about your expectations so I can meet them. Anyways, so start with applying this, and it will not work from the first time, but at least you're gonna learn how to adjust and to tweak your assumptions, and you're gonna repeat your pitch over and over again. So the first mistake is that you start to tick. So you say something like, we're gonna use init-in as the automation or the back, and then we're gonna use Vaby to connect it to the telephony system, which is it's not reasonable. They don't know what is init-in, they don't know what is Vaby, they have nothing to say about these frameworks. But instead you can say that we're gonna cover all the outbound, inbound calls in automated way. Who's gonna post your business, and you're gonna increase the convergence rate because you're gonna have like higher response rate. These are the things that you should talk about before these things. And as a technical guy, you are by default to start with what is inside your mind, which is the frameworks, the tools, etc. And I need you to change this. The second big mistake that I'm seeing every day is that you have no clear client strategy or target audience. Look, if you are targeting everyone, you are targeting no one. So you need to stick to specific industry, and you need to be specialized because now you have the tech, whatever the framework that you're using. You're targeting industries and trying to solve a problem here. So how you're going to solve a problem in an industry that you don't understand the nature of it? It doesn't make sense. So in the same way you're working on improving your technicalities here or your knowledge in this side, you need to improve this side in the same way, because without knowledge here, you couldn't even solve the problem that they are going to pay you money for. And I love to have like the 50% the proportion, because this is the best way to understand anything. So sticking to one industry is the best move that you can take when you're starting out, because look, the world is very broad, and saying that you are integrating AI in businesses to solve their problems, you're still pretty generic. Which industries that you're targeting? This is the question that you need to ask. And wherever it is, every industry has money, every industry has people in, every industry has so millions. So even the most specific thing is gonna lead to a lot of money, because being good at one specific niche, small thing, is better than being general and targeting no one. For example, you can be very specialized in integrating AI in legal firms or in legal companies or legal services. So you need to understand about law and the policy in your country or the countries that you're targeting So you can merge the knowledge, the technical knowledge with the domain knowledge, and then you can build something really valuable because you no longer need to ask people in this industry or this domain about the problems. You can think yourself. You can start working on a problem that you are seeing without even being asked to solve it. And then you can pitch these people and talk and speak their language to sell these solutions. It is going to significantly increase the conversion rate because you are on the point. So yeah, this part is very important, and it is a decision that you need to take before anything. You need to sit and decide which industry that you understand at most. If you have a zero knowledge in any industry, go ahead and start learning about a specific industry before pitching anyone, because it is nearly impossible to have a deal without any domain knowledge. But once you have the domain knowledge, I promise you will get a lot of deals with much easier ways. The third common mistake is you start automating a broken process. People take a sales process that is already broken, and on top of thinking it will magically fix everything. That's a single loop, and I need you to apply this double loop learning technique specifically here in this mistake, because you need literally to apply the double loop learning process. So again, people take a sales processes that already broken and they layer AI on the top, thinking that is going to fix the whole thing, and this is not true. And if you want to apply the double loop learning, you should say, wait, what is the process? Why this process broken in the first place? Should we even do it in this way? Because before automating something, you need to understand the nature of the thing, because automating is a very deep understanding of the problem that you're solving. So if the process itself is broken, so how the hell you're going to automate it? So you need first to sit with them and think about fixing the problem or fixing the process manually. And then you're going to think about the things that you can automate in between. Read this article with me. Companies rush to implement AI sales tool without a solid plan. They just add new technology to broken workflow, and they have first to fix their workflow without any AI automation or AI integration, and then they can think about integrating AI into the process in order to have more efficient things. So let's complete. This approach leads to small productivity gain instead of a major changes. Only 40% of organizations say they have a company-wide AI strategy. Companies that lack a proper plan end up with scattered AI tools that don't make much of a difference. So before automating something, make sure that the process is working fine. Now, mistake number 4 is neglecting the human in the loop. And human in the loop means that once you deploy the agent or the AI integration, the company should have someone called it a human in a loop. And that guy should observe and test the agent on at least weekly basis, because look, the whole agentic systems are built on stochastic system, which is the LLM. So the LLM is something that is hard to predict it is output, because it is literally built on randomness, which is a factor that I'm sure that you've seen, the randomness variable. So anyways, without any technical details, the LLMs are built on stochastic, or let's say random approach, in which you can't expect the output for a given input, which is really hard to imagine if you have a system that you can't expect its output. For that reason, you need a human in the loop that keep testing and keep observing and even keep tuning and tweaking the prompts or adjust to something in order to have the expected results. And this is something brand new, because the whole industry before the LLM were built on deterministic approach, which means that any programming language or any programming in general is deterministic, because if you have 2 lines of code, they are gonna output the same output forever. Unlike the LLMs, every time for a given input, you can get different outputs, which is really a disaster for so many businesses, because it is really tricky to rely on LLM for things like the customer support. And to solve this, you need to have test phases. And on the top of this, you need a human in the loop. So this is the biggest struggle in deploying or selling AI solutions. Once you deploy the project, it is not over, because the integration that you are going to give them may surprisingly change anytime. So they have to hire someone that checks this system on at least weekly basis, and that guy should be a technical guy. So in this way, you avoid any failure, you avoid any surprises, you avoid any weird results or weird behavior. And I'm personally struggled with this problem a lot because clients' expectations is pretty ridiculous. They expect to have something that is stable 24/7. And I was trying to tell them that we're using something that is not deterministic. We can't expect the output every time. And we're trying our best to make it stable and to make it output the proper language and the proper answers. Because LMs has so many problems like hallucination or a small context window. And we're just trying our best to mitigate these problems. Not 100% solution, but just to mitigate the LLM problems like hallucination or small context window, etc. So this part is ridiculously important. The fifth mistake is overcomplicating the integrations, because any system has different platforms or third parties like the CRM or the Gmail, etc. Hundreds of things. And I think the ultimate solution for this problem is MCP. It is the hero of this story of integration, because before the MCP, every time you need to integrate your system or your, let's say this is your AI agent, this black box, you want to integrate it with Gmail, you need to have a workflow that connects to your agent through something like the webhook. And if you want to connect with Salesforce or any CRM, you need to have another workflow. If you want to connect to wherever Slack channel, you need to have a workflow, custom workflow to connect to the third party that you are using, wherever it is. But with MCP, you have only one connector that can connect to literally everything you can imagine. So let's use this illustration to understand the nature of MCP. So instead of building specific connections, let's take a screenshot. So instead of building custom connections to connect to Slack, or custom connection to connect to Gmail, or custom connection to connect to Calendar, and this connection is simply the web hook, whatever it is. So instead of building custom connections or custom connectors, you can only use the MCP. So this MCP simply works as global connector to your system, and your system is the MCP client. So with one integration, you can integrate with all these applications. And technically, using an MCP server like Zapier MCP, they have 8,000 app integration. You're gonna probably, it is impossible even to have a missing integration. So let's read this article from their official website. They have nearly 8,000 app connection or app integration in their MCP server, code-free setup. So literally you can connect the MCP with one URL to your AI agent or to your voice assistant in other platforms, but I'm sure it supports literally everything. You won't struggle at all with Zapier MCP because I've tried it so many times before and it was working fine. Flexible development setup, action naming, AI suggestion. It is literally the best thing to use in the meantime. So with MCP, you can have very smooth integration or smooth connection with third parties. So you will not struggle at all with integration or any overcomplicated webhooks and custom integrations, because as I showed you, you don't have to build custom connections to any new integration. So only need to have one connection and you'll be fine.